Welcome to 𝘊𝘶𝘮𝘰𝘮𝘰. I'm Lorraine, and today I'm joined by Denise O'Gorman from Remedy Credit Control Solutions. If you're a business owner, you know that managing cash flow and credit control is essential for success. In this interview, we'll explore how Remedy Credit Control Solutions supports businesses with collections, risk assessment, and financial strategies to stay ahead. Denise, thank you for joining me today.
You're very welcome, Lorraine. It's lovely to be here with you.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, so can we just start by telling us a bit about yourself and what led you to establish Remedy Credit Control Solutions?
Okay, well, I'll try and start from the beginning. I'm from County Clare in the Republic of Ireland, and I spent a long time in the UK working in London. So I have 12 years experience in credit control management. And in 2016, I moved back to Ireland and I went back to college to do an honours degree in business, which I was very successful with. And after that, I said, you know what, I'm not going to waste my skills and my experience. I'm going to set up my own business because there was such a need in Ireland for businesses. They needed so much help with their cash flow. And, you know, I really wanted to help them.
Yeah, I think that there's just not Ireland. I think it's everywhere. You know,
Oh, yeah,
businesses just don't
absolutely.
know how to do it.
There's so much uncertainty out there for people. And, you know, when they see things starting to slip, it's better to get expert advice or come to look for help.
And is there a certain business type that you work with, or do you work across the board?
I work across the board in any industry. So I have for many years been contracting and temping. So I've been in retail, construction, media intelligence. I've worked with website design, that kind of thing, telecommunications. So I think I've got an all-round experience of chasing invoices and debt for those companies.
And do you find one industry very different compared to the other, or is it all more or less the
No,
same?
they can be very different. Different ways of doing business, of different agreements have been made or contracts. So I'll be familiar with the different systems involved, you know.
Right. Okay. And then I was looking on your site and you offer a wide range of services, including collections, accounts receivable, credit vetting, risk assessment, data reviews, order to cash management, customer service, collections, training and brand protection. So that's a wide range. Could you give us
Oh
maybe
my
a wee
God.
overview?
Yeah, I see a lot of that leads into each other. So with the collections, I collect current or aged debt for businesses. Now, this helps to free up their cash flow and gets the money back into their bank for them as soon as possible. I do it as quickly as possible for them because I know people have wages to pay at the end of the month. They have overheads. And, you know, sometimes they leave it too late to get help. So I do the collections for them. And then there's always maybe some debt recovery, which are the older invoices of large amounts that they need a lot of work on and negotiation. So I do collect those for businesses as well. The order to cash management would involve going through the process of when you onboard a new customer or client, what the procedure is and the paperwork you need to have done up, you know, and signed. And then I suppose that would be followed up with monitoring the payment patterns on the accounts, making sure people are paying you on time and they're not slipping back. So all that is done, and I do that as part of their own business for my customers. So if you're calling from, we'll say, a local 𝘊𝘶𝘮𝘰, and I will be your credit controller calling out to people. So it's non-disclosure. You'll never know that I'm
Right.
outsourced.
Oh, right. Okay. And then it also mentions training. So if can you go into businesses and then train up their staff to deal with collections?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I've got a wealth of experience and I've trained new staff coming into businesses before, and I've done some training as part of my own business. It's so well needed out there. I hear a lot of business owners telling me that they can't get credit controllers that have the right skills, or they're not able to ask for money on the phones, these kinds of things. The training is very simple, really, but you need to know what you do.
Yeah, I think it's also we get so uncomfortable asking for money and talking about money,
Oh yeah,
you know.
absolutely. And you kind of need to step away from that and realize it's not something personal. You're covering it for the business.
That's it. I know, because we would often have people working for us and you ask them for a bill and they're like going, all right, I'll send it to you later, and you never receive that bill. So
Oh
it's getting
God, yeah.
into the
That's why
good
you need to
routine.
have someone keeping an eye on all your paperwork. Your invoices are going out, you know, when you've completed an order and it needs to be sent, that it's also being sent to the right person. that it's not getting lost in the system somewhere.
Yeah, and that leads into my next question, Denise. Do you have a typical protocol that you say what businesses should do to maintain a good credit ledger, or, is there something that businesses should be doing that
Well, that
currently
would
see
tie
around?
into the order to cash, and there should be a credit policy in place too. So this is like the credit controller's Bible.
Okay, and I know I was talking to you previously, and it's the age-old thing where you do a job for a friend, but you never get a contract.
Yes, see, that happens quite a lot. And it's a pity because a lot of business people, that's the way they like to keep things done. But it can go wrong. And if they don't pay you and you've no paperwork, it's very hard to go legal with that.
And for something like that, can you get your money back, or is that dead money?
You can. I mean, I've often mediated between two business people to get them paid,
Right.
and it can be done, but it depends on who you're dealing with really and what the situation is, because there can be a lot of squabbling when it comes to money.
Okay, so you would step in as a mediator and try and come to agreement with both sides?
Yeah, come in as a third party.
Oh, that's good to know that you do that. So how do businesses typically work with yourself? So is there a certain time when businesses see their debt ledgers getting to a certain height, or like what's the typical process?
Well, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I have clients and I deal with their current invoicing now at the moment, and I chase that for them every month. And I've also got businesses coming into me that have ledgers with maybe 500,000 in debt that they can't recover themselves because they just don't know how, and it's gone too far. So what I would do is a review of the debtor's ledger and find out where the issues are. And following on from that, we'll make an arrangement maybe to send out final demands, arrange payment plans for people that are finding it hard to pay, or go to liquidators and fill out claim forms. It really depends on the situation, and everybody's different. Every business is different.
Okay, so can you come in and I have a business, I'm a plumber, I just don't do paperwork, my job's plumbing. So can you take over all of that, just come into their system as such, do all the invoices, send out the invoices, and then follow up?
No, I could do it. I could do the invoicing, yes, and the accounts receivable. But yeah, I know what you mean. Some people they just really are kind of allergic to paperwork.
You see, that's it.
Yeah,
They would rather focus on their what they're good at. So
yeah.
how would they work with you? Would they put you on a retainer, or what way does that work?
It would probably work at first. I probably need to do a review of the whole ledger. So the first month or two is probably going to have a lot more work to it. And after
Right.
that, then it would be a retainer, a monthly retainer, to keep chasing. So they have a regular income coming in and their cash flow is not affected.
Right. I suppose that there's better than hiring somebody full time to do it
Well,
as
they're
well.
better off to get somebody right and have it done properly than
Yeah.
just hiring anybody it's going to leave a bigger, mess than you have in the first place.
Yeah, and at least you know what you're doing. So payment plans you mentioned, and that can be a great way to relieve the financial pressure, I suppose, of businesses. But is there a certain way that businesses should set up a payment plan, or how would they even go about doing that, or structuring it, or something like that?
Well, what I would do now is, because I make the calls out and I'll get to a customer or a client that says, I don't have the money to pay you. So I would, on the phone, say, do you want to pay in installments? We could set up a payment plan. Now, what I would do is take the dates down, which will normally be the end of the month. So for this month, the end of February, they'll make the first installment, and then the end of March and the end of April. So I'd write that down, send it in an email to them, ask them to confirm. And then every month, a couple of days before the payment is due, I will make a call to make sure that they've put me on their payment run.
Right. And it's
Because
just getting into that
can,
process.
Yeah, they can forget. So I need to get their confirmation in writing, and then I'll call them every month to make sure that I'm going on the payment run.
And would the payment plans typically be used for, say, the really old debt? And then what is old, if you know what I mean?
Old debt is now anything over 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a lot of arrangements on credit are 30 days or 60 days. 60 days is now kind of a bit more normal, 45 to 60 days. But
Right.
people are asking for 90 days, which is 3 months, and that's kind of
Mhm.
unheard of. So anything over 6 months would be old debt, because that means someone has gone past their payment terms by 3 months, 3 or 4 months in some cases, and they're going to be a problem to pay.
Wow. And what's the oldest you've ever collected on?
Ooh, about 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which involved me rooting out a load of paperwork and putting all the pieces together and coming back to the person, and then I would have had to put them on a payment plan because they weren't expecting to have to pay an invoice.
So that's good to know. Like, it's never too old as such.
No, and you have to be fair when you're chasing after a certain length of time. You've got to give people a chance to pay you, or otherwise they're not going to deal with you. They're just going to say no straight away. So you've got to give them options.
Yeah, it's definitely good that as a business owner, you know that that money can still come in and it doesn't have to be
Oh,
wrote off.
it can, yeah. Because I've seen. I mean, I've the odd business has come to me and they said we've written off this debt, but it was chaseable. When I had a look at it, it was recoverable, but they would
How
have.
would you know that it was recoverable compared to something else?
I know really by, I suppose, the argument. Now, that's why I get on the phones and I'll find out what's going on. Because if a person just completely ignores it, there's no argument there. They just don't want to pay you.
Right.
If they're really arguing and saying, "Oh, the service wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I expected," I was really like disgusted. If they're really angry, you kind of
Hmm.
know there's something more wrong. And now some of those may be due to a credit note. That may be all it is, that they want a credit note for some part of the job that was done, or some part of the service, and then they'll pay the rest.
Okay. And as a business owner, you're too close to it, whereas you come
Yeah,
in
I
as a
find
third
that people
party.
can get, because they work together, on business projects and things like that. They get too close and then they get angry, start arguing. So that's where I would come in the middle as a third party and mediate.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand. Like, it's a sensitive subject because people take not being paid so personally.
I
So
know,
it's,
I know, and sometimes they do, and I phone people, and when they get the call, some of them, they take it so personally that they owe money, and they're so honest.
yeah.
You get lovely
Yeah.
people like that, but sometimes they really don't know, or they've genuinely forgot, like, that they owed money.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people are so busy now.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, it's not all bad, or you could be sending your invoices to the wrong place, and they've got lost in the system.
Yeah, yeah. So it's good to know that it's never too late as such. And then I know you operate across the UK and Ireland, and I suppose living in the UK and London helped you with that. Is there any significant differences between these two regions? And if I'm like, we're in the north, so a lot of people would be doing work down south. Should people be aware of anything, if they're doing businesses
Well,
across the
yeah.
water as such?
Well, if someone isn't going to pay you, we'll say in the UK or Northern Ireland, you can send them the final demand, and then you let them know that you are going to apply for a county court judgment for that money that's owed. And you can do that in the mainland UK and Northern Ireland. But in the Republic of Ireland, you can't. Now, we do have a small claims court, and you have a small claims court as well, which is under 2,000.
Hmm.
But anything over that, there's going to be a problem. It's going to become more costly to chase it because it's going to go legal, or you may have to go to court.
Right.
Yeah. But
Okay.
the county court judgment in the UK and in Northern Ireland is brilliant because it's an extra step, without having to cost you a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, and what we're trying to avoid is even more money chasing the
Yeah.
bad debt.
Because if somebody owes you 10,000, there's no point in you paying 12,000 out to chase it. It's you just throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of work for people like that where I was trying to mediate and get the payment in so that it wouldn't go that far.
And then is there any advice that you can give businesses so that it doesn't go into the bad debt? Like, should they be maybe offering a discount up front or get into the routine of not letting it go past a certain stage?
Well, in some industries, what you can do is offer 10% discount to people who pay on time.
Hmm.
That can be quite common. What you need to do though is really keep an eye when they start to slip over their terms, which is maybe over 30 days or 60 days. you need to start getting on the phone, calling and emailing, and making sure you're getting a response, that they haven't decided to just ignore everything.
And what is the most common issue that you have that's causing businesses to struggle? It's just not the following up, or what do you
It's
see a
not.
lot of?
I find it's not following up, and it's not having the right maybe employees that know what they're doing. There's a very big problem out there at the moment with skilled credit controllers and credit control professionals. So it's very hard to get somebody that actually knows what they're doing and is able to do it.
And can you share with us a success story of how you recovered debt? And I think there's one on your LinkedIn profile about how you saved a company going into liquidation, maybe, or something.
Yeah, and some of them come to me and they're on that final thread, and they're another couple of months and they're gone. So yeah, it's really, I worked so fast on that company, hours and hours I put in, contacted everybody on that ledger, made sure I could get in the money that I could first, and then chased up the rest with final demands. And it came out, I think it came to around the 70% recovery for them.
Oh, wow.
And some of them, even when I put that report on my website, there was some still to come in. They were just being a bit delayed because they didn't have the cash themselves.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that people should have a contract before they do any work. Do you offer that service of drawing up contracts as well?
No, I kind of stick with the final demands and the letters before action, but I have done contracts for very small sole traders. They just didn't know how to do them, and I said I'd do it because they were getting caught for people owing them money.
Right.
So I have done that for them before.
Okay, that's good to know. So for small businesses just starting out, what advice would you give them in establishing a robust credit control? What would you say to them?
I'd say get it right first time, and make sure that your customers and clients know where you stand with each other, and that the rule is to pay on time. Always have that communication going. Say we're going to be a bit late this month or whatever, but just don't put up with anybody just ignoring it.
Yeah, so it's a continuous follow-up.
Yeah, you need to be firm, and you need to be. You need to know exactly where you stand with each other. Financially.
Yeah, and talking to you earlier, you also mentioned that whenever you're working on clients, that you would often put notes on certain.
Yeah, I make notes on the system, and I make my own notes on an Excel sheet because I report back to the businesses I work for every week to let them know who's promised to pay, where the issues are, and maybe we need to inquire more about what's going on sometimes. So we'll have a discussion every week or two. And all that helps, to get the money in a bit faster.
I think it's also so important because if you have put in a note and they go to buy again, the same client goes to buy again and they're owing X amount of money, and your note's there, at least they know.
Absolutely, because some people, they treat you as a bank because you're giving out credit. They're getting credit from quite a few different businesses and they're paying none of them.
Yeah.
It's just really saving them get a bank loan, but they probably wouldn't be able to get a bank loan because of their credit history if they're doing that,
And you also do credit checks, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I do credit checks and background checks because sometimes people abscond, they close their business and they move off thinking, like especially sole traders, thinking, oh, I don't have to pay anybody now because I've closed the business, but they can be chased still.
Right.
So yeah, I do the credit checks and find out if they've opened a new business, where their home address is and things like that, and I can send out the paperwork to them.
So say for a business who gets a new client, but they have a bad credit check control history, should they say, no, definitely not doing business, or would there be certain things that they should set up before they consider doing business with them?
You could get them to pay up front, or put them on a very minimal credit limit for, we'll say, a trial of 6 months or a year, depending on which way, and see how it goes if they're paying you regularly, and then you can increase that as time goes on.
Yeah, because I often find also that people are scared to say no, because then if they say no, oh, they already owe me this money, then I'm not going to get payment on this here if I say no to this job with them.
Yeah, but you can put them on stop. You can say, I'll put you on hold until we get money. We're not doing any further work for you. We're not providing you with any more products or anything like that.
Yeah, it's sometimes so tricky as well to know when to
Yeah.
say no.
And I find a lot of credit controllers are afraid to phone somebody up and say, look, we haven't received your payment. I'm putting your account on hold. And, they could be screaming at them saying, oh, I need that stuff today for doing a project or building work or something. And you just have to be firm and say,
Yeah.
until we see that money in the bank,
Yeah, I think you brought up a valid point, is that you're not a bank. Your
Yeah,
business isn't a bank.
absolutely. Yeah.
So they shouldn't be treating them as
You
that.
got to think of it. At the end of the day, you're going to be at a loss, if they don't pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also, Denise, any further points that you want to say?
Well, I want to say now that if there's any businesses out there that need any help, even if you just want to inquire, please contact me. My website is www.𝘵𝘰𝘂𝗋𝑐𝑐𝑠.ie. You can call me or email me. My phone number is the Republic of Ireland, which would be 00353 21 450 8948, or my email address is denise@remedyccs.ie. And I'd
Okay.
only be delighted to speak to people and help them. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help businesses,
You see, that's it. And just talking to you, Denise, you have so much knowledge on that you
I
can
know.
help people,
I know, and
and
there's so many different aspects, and you're dealing with so many different varieties of people. It's so diverse. Like,
yeah,
you need to know your stuff with a lot of
yeah.
this. You need to
And
know
I
what
think
you're
it's
doing.
knowing how to talk to people as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people coming to me and they said, "Oh, my credit controller has been chasing this for like a year, and they're ignoring them, and they're doing this and that." So when I make the call and speak to them, they can say, "Oh yeah, this credit controller used to call us, but she was really rotten, and we didn't bother answering her." So it could be something like that.
Yeah, because you do pay somebody that is nice to you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're nice and gentle, and you're not
Yeah.
too pushy, because I have heard people shouting down the phones at each other, like we're having full blown arguments, and there's no need for it.
Yeah. You
There's
see,
no
that's
need.
it.
It's not very
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah. So brilliant, Denise, and thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Cash flow is the backbone of any business, and having the right credit control strategies can make all the difference. If you'd like to learn more about Remedy Credit Control Solutions, visit their profile in Local 𝘊𝘳𝘀, which we will link in the description. The profile includes links to Denise's website, social handles, and a direct contact form, making it easy for you to connect with Denise and explore how Remedy Credit Control Solutions can support your business today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more valuable insights and interviews with local experts. And remember, Local 𝘊𝘳𝘀 is your trusted platform for discovering local businesses, jobs, discounts, and more. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. It was a pleasure to be speaking to you today.